Welcome everybody back to Anti-Stall Racing. We're back for season 7 this time round. It's round 1 of course, and we're racing at Francorchamps for first time in a couple of seasons. GT3s are out in qualifying now. I'm joined today by Simon Davison. What are you looking forward to in this race? New drivers, standings reset of course?
Hey George, it's good to be back. Honestly, I'm looking forward to Francorchamps. I genuinely love this track. I think it is the best road course on iRacing. It's incredibly high speed, incredibly high action. We've got a field of fresh faces, a whole bunch of GT3s, which I think are just extremely fun to drive around here. And I'm just here for a good time. I'm always here for a good time. Championship, important to some people, yes, I get it, but I'm just here for a good race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen people, how do I put this nicely, not necessarily perform so great over the whole championship, but have absolutely standout performances at particular races, which is what it's all about really, and it makes each race just as exciting as it can be. Big GT3 field this season. GTP still not quite as big as we'd hope, but I think that's expected, particularly people sort of dropped off the class a little bit as it sort of struggles in the rain a bit, and the GT3 field today is really healthy. I don't think we've even got everybody on that leaderboard that you can see up there at the moment.
26. So my timing software says 26 GT3 drivers, but it's only showing me 25. That's slightly concerning. Either way, flying laps are starting. The 91 of there's so many drivers. Where's the 91?
The 91 is Adam Jarvis, yeah.
Currently leading them all through the curves. Again, this is an extremely high-speed track, especially coming up to Pujon. I've just been jump scared by iRacing.
Apologies. Trying to get some audio on my end. I don't quite have it yet. I'm a bit concerned it might not be coming through the stream for that very reason. What else to do? We'll leave it for now.
Just gonna hit some elevator music in the background.
Somebody.
No audio. I will make some engine noises. Somebody who's parked there on the entrance to Pujon. That's a concern.
I'm being told by our stewarding team that we do have audio on the stream, so we'll leave it out there for now.
If it ain't broke.
Exactly. So Adam Jarvis with a lot of green sectors. Obviously, it's the first car out, but every purple sector he set on his way round. Obviously, first car round, he had all the purple sectors at that point have all been beaten. Not driving the Ford this season after he slugged it out to finish second in the championship at the title decider last time out at Le Mans. Obviously goes quickest as he crosses the line. Alex Ott displaces him by 3 tenths, picking up 2 purples along the way. Ignis, recently promoted to pro alongside Adam Jarvis as well, is about to cross the line. He had a couple of purples at the end of that lap, and he goes quickest by quite a margin, 1.5 tenths over the field. Noriel Falk quickly beats that. Lots of people, too many cars crossing the line at the moment for us to see. Matteo back at the field at the moment. Yes, yeah.
Ooh, Lemeray with a huge moment up Eau Rouge. Manages to not collect the barrier and will park the car safely. You can see the smoke cloud there.
Replay of what happened there, loose at the top. What if he did that in the race, he'd be happy with that outcome. But let's see if we can maybe go a little bit further back and try and see what happened. I believe this was the beginning of the 1X. But this camera's... Oh, it just gets loose at the top.
Yeah. It's such a dangerous game you're playing there, because obviously you want to take as much... You want to straight line that curb as much as possible, but you do need to turn left at some point if the car just gets a little bit unloaded there. At that kind of speed, it is just going to go around on you. There's no chance of saving it. So drivers looking to do second laps here. Ott actually, I think, has the premier position here, just tucked in nicely behind a very fast driver in Adam Jarvis. And obviously, this is a massive track with massive straights. Getting that toe, as long as the driver in front of you is able to maintain a sensible pace, which Adam Jarvis definitely falls into that category, you can make up so much time on the straights. A little too far back, that is the onboard with... No.
Jesus Christ. That's loud. Or maybe not so loud for everybody else. We'll see.
Who knows? The audio is doing magical things right now.
I don't know, somebody in our broadcast booth can just confirm that we've now got audio. I'm getting a message typed to me from Andy now, so we'll see what he says. He says Kirby's gone now. Interesting.
I have disappeared into the ether. I'm going to continue talking for a bit, just so we can eventually get my audio back, and hopefully the levels on OBS will give you some indication whether or not this audio is actually going through, or even it's on the right channel. I don't know what your setup is. I'm just keep talking to provide some sort of context.
I think we do have audio. It's just very quiet, so I'm just trying to quickly fix that.
In that case, I'll keep my commentary level going. Matteo Lemeray currently chasing down. I'm looking at my screen and not the screen that you're seeing, and on your screen you can see that is the 23 of Monix Heijster. Again, we haven't done this for this. This is the first time this season. We are two white British English folk trying to pronounce a whole plethora of wonderful names. That unfortunately we're going to just have to struggle with, as that's a decent chunk of gravel taken there by Heijster. Heijster? I'm going to struggle with that one, I think, as we are now joined.
Daniel Morpey, who is coming into the bus stop chicane now. A purple sector along the way on this lap, a couple of greens. I think he's going to come across the line and move up the board a decent chunk. 17.7 should send him to the top. Believe? Oh no, there you go, 17.9.
Just thirds, you know, it's still a very good starting position, especially in a grid this big. Obviously, like, Francorchamps has become a bit infamous turn one, especially, I would say. Just because, you know, it's a very tight hairpin. There are a lot of people try and make ground on in that opening sector. If you're towards the front, you can avoid a lot of that nonsense if you get a good qualifying session in here. So looking to try and get good times on the board. About 5 minutes left in the session for the GT3s right now, as Oliver Parkinson may be looking at improvement in 2 yellow sectors, but there is a green tucked in there somewhere for that 44. Currently scored 21st on the qualifying sheet, so not sure what's going on there.
Apologies everyone, I'm just trying to fix some audio issues. I think probably slightly my fault. I did move house this week, so everything's been unplugged and plugged back in and all over the place.
This is why we don't move. We stay in the same place for perpetuity. And we never do anything ever again. So we have a wonderful shot of a Rouge. And Daniel Morpine leaving the pit lane. Soriel Folk? I'm not sure how you pronounce that, and I'm fairly sure I've had this issue last season as well. Either way, they will lead the GT3 qualifying right now, followed by Ignis Vincherevskis and Daniel Morpy. Your top 3 as it stands. Alex Ott would be joining them on that second row. If it stays like it is. Car sideways, didn't get a chance to see the name. But either way, it looked like they were pulling to safety, so he's taking a cheeky toe. Again, no limit on taking toes, taking resets in qualifying, so if you invalidate a lap or you have an off, you can just park the car, take it to the pit lane, just start it fresh. As long as you have time for the outlap, that is the important detail. This is a very big track, Francorchamps, not quite as big as Le Mans were at last time out, but still very big in terms of most common racetracks. So you need to make sure you give yourself ample time to get that qualifying lap in. Alex Ott, green on the timing sheet. Is there a chance for an improvement here? Yellow final sector will be scored 17.880, good enough for second place. Bumped up 2 places there. He'll be happy with that one. Fox still controls the pole position, however. As Fan, that is not the name.
Apologies everybody for this, we are trying to get this fixed in time for the race.
Funkiness with the timing sheets there for Dave, but out of that lap, Oliver Parkinson with potential 2-minute warning. I would say if you're in the pit lane at this point, that's your qualifying over. 2 minute 15 flying laps, 2 minute 17, excuse me. Means you're definitely past the point of no return for a lot of these drivers. 23 of Paolo Antinori. Maybe in danger of being a little late to the checkered flag. I'll keep you posted on that one. But every other driver coming through now. Django Vol goes 6th fastest. An 18.1. Tedjan Bloman. Currently scored as 17th place. Gets an improvement. Goes up to 30th and 18.7. Sven Elmers comes through. 13th place. Don't think that was a position improvement, but still a decent showing there. Matteo Lemery comes across. 20.1 is a bit further back than Lemery perhaps would have liked to have been. We'll be starting towards the back of the field right now. Not quite the last row. Steve Van Veen goes up to 10th. Marnix Heister goes 13th. Final laps coming through for everybody here. The checkered flag not quite yet out, so there is chance for maybe one more lap if you can come through in time, but the clock's certainly ticking down at this point.
Yeah, I believe Kirby should now be hearable, but I'm slightly worried
well,
that
I was speaking the entire time.
Yes,
for no reason.
I think you're just a bit louder.
Yippee!
Can race control also confirm if we can hear the game or not? I'm now slightly concerned we can't hear the cars.
It's a wonderful day here at Anti-Stall Racing. Antonio Vitozzi puts it in 7th place. 3 seconds left in regulation. The checkered flag out now. As I don't know if Ibrahim Ozcan got across the line in time, but that would be your benchmark for who can do another lap. Paolo Antinori, 23, comes across the line, was 11th, sets into 10th. 1 slot improvement there, but this timing sheet gets very tight towards the top now. Is that 12 cars within a second right now? And it's obviously still a few cars coming home with laps. Snebokken. Bokhoven, excuse me. 90.6, good enough for 20th place there. A lot of yellow sectors down the timing sheet, so not seeing too many immediate improvements. Sven Elmers with the green sector has a chance for an improvement in the 16 machine. Coming through the bus stop chicane now as we have a look at Romain Dubert, who's got a yellow to the a green, excuse me, on the timer, so potential for an improvement there. Elmers will go up to 15th with an 18.8. Dubert would like to get in front. And will do so. Shoots up to 12th with an 18.5. Slots into that 1 second range I was talking about earlier. That earlier lap by Oriol Falk doing a lot of work for them as they are still on that pole position. Heister will come across the line. Just sneaks in that second barrier I was talking about, an 18.7. Alex Ott, 2 greens. The 96 a bit far back. Antonio Vitozzi, no chance of improvement. That's 3 yellow sectors, unless his last sector was an absolute bomb out. That would fortunately be the end of his qualifying. So it's now down to Alex Ott, currently P2. Yellow, green, green the sectors as they come towards the line. Bus stop to go. GTP is going to start filtering out, but he should manage to get to safety before then. He comes across the line now. And it is an improvement, but it is not enough. Alex Ott will have to settle for second place. Oriel Falk will be upholstered for GT3.
I believe all of our audio issues should now be fixed. It says optimistically.
Have audio.
Which means we have plenty of audio for the GTP qualifying. Well, not all of them. I count 5 of them that have taken to the track right now. Albert Preem will make it 6. But it will be the 963 of Quinten Verdonk leading the charge. Dutch Sim Racing team representing. And currently being tailed by the 38 of Eloy Caballero. Just the 9 GTPs in the session, which is a little lower than we'd have liked to have seen, but with the amount of GT3s we have, still plenty of room for shenanigans in the race, or just some good close wheel-to-wheel racing. Obviously, road traffic is going to be a main factor in the race when we get there, but for now this is purely qualifying, this is purely single class. Drivers giving themselves a bit of rough to work with. The car behind Verdonk has pulled away a little bit, so it will just be the DSR driver on their own coming towards the bus stop for the first flying lap.
Yeah, I know this field's a little bit smaller than we've had in previous years, but in previous seasons, should I say, but we had a similar sized GTP field last season, and I think we still had 3 cars in it at the finale, so nothing to suggest we won't get some great close racing in this class. Into turn 1 for Quinten Verdonk on his first flying lap. Hits that inside curb there. Really feels good apexing that turn 1 at Spa. It kind of helps you in due to the camber of a corner a little bit and kind of maybe gives you a bit of a false sense of security for the rest of the lap. Up for Rouge, where we saw Matteo spin off early in GT3 qualifying. Look how skinny the rear wing is on the Porsche. Down the Kemmel
You have that wing turned as low as you dare, but you still need some downforce, especially for sectors like this. Through the S's, turn 5, through to 7. Keep it tight towards the inside there, through 6, just to make sure you get a good run down here.
Just beaten by Eloy in sector 1, but only by 10, so it's definitely still on this lap for Quinten. It sort of slides a little bit through No Name into Poo on there. Oh, keeps his foot in. Did he get an off track? He didn't. Kept it just within the lines.
I refuse to believe he stayed on there. That must have been the absolute limit of what was considered inbounds. Through the second chicane we come. And now get it tight in through towards Curva Paul Frere. And then a massive run, and this is where the low downforce setup really comes into fruition. The run towards, honestly, the most terrifying corner on the track, Blanchimont. But in these cars, it should just be an easy flick to the left. Run, not even to the curb, barely gets his outside wheels to it, and then comes into the bus stop. Rolls it out wide on the exit, take as much of the curbing as you dare, as long as it's within the track limit it'll be fine. Verdonk comes to the checkered flag. Checkered flag? At the end of his lap with a 59.5. With Caballero, triple purples, goes almost half a second faster, takes away pole the 59.1.
Albert Preem will be one of the next cars to take... well, I say it's across the line. He's a couple back, but he's got a purple in that sector 2 and is pretty close to those others in sector 1. A couple of attempts off what Eloy did in sector 2, which is where he made up most of his time, but matched all of the other cars in sector 3. So he should be on track to set a pretty good lap here, as he's going to come across the line. And he does move up to the top by 1/100th of a second.
Caballero will be absolutely fuming with that. That is a tiny margin to come through, especially on a lap as long as this, to get split by that little time. As much as we complain about small field size, when it's this competitive, who really cares how big the field is? The racing is going to be excellent. Kemal Dar has decided to just completely break the overlay, but also has a purple sector.
There we go. Emre joined a little bit late and hadn't been allocated the class quite correctly and has now. So that number 9 is now showing there instead of undefined. And they're going to slot into P6. So a little bit off the pace, but like I said, only joined the session a little bit late, so maybe hasn't had quite the practice that some of the others had. And still 9 minutes left in this session.
Still able to set a purple sector, so it's clearly some pace in that car.
Well, Eloy's had a moment. We just missed going live to it. Let's see what happened. Just gives up. He had a 1x. I don't know if that was before that or because of that. Must have been a mistake or something.
Avale goes power sliding through no name. I'll be lap invalidated. Have a look at the 963 of
Jeffrey Ross in the BMW with a mega middle sector to move up to second with an identical time to Albert Preem's earlier in the session.
What?
Now my timing tower is showing him 1/1000th quicker, but iRacing clearly thinks they're close enough to each other that it's going to count it as the same time.
I have Preem by 1,000th on my
Yeah,
end.
that's what I have.
That is insane.
But all that matters is iRacing thinks it's an identical time. That's what it's going to count it as. Jeffrey Ross, though, matching the Porsche in the BMW. A BMW that we didn't see compete last season here, and not that much in the officials either, to be honest. It's kind of struggled for outright performance. It's not been in the same window as the others. Obviously, it was the first GTP to come to us. It doesn't have the same brake migration and anti-roll bar system that a lot of the other GTPs have, which kind of makes it a little bit more difficult to manage throughout a stint. But and also just a little bit more difficult to set up in general. You don't have as many tools to play with. But Jeffrey Ross taking it to P2 as it stands, and it's the first time we've seen him in the series. He's new here, and that's an incredible lap time to be throwing down as your first run against Albert Preem, who finished pretty high up in the championship last season. So that's a really, really impressive position to put himself in just the first round of the season.
You mentioned makes. We'll just go through the balance quickly. It's 7
Off-track
Cadillacs, I believe.
I'd say off-track there for
racing.
Jeffrey Ross, but it's an outlap, isn't it?
7 Cadillacs, the 1 Porsche being driven by Verdonk, and a BMW, as we were talking about, driven by Jeffrey Ross. As I struggle to think... the Acura that once plagued this series has just fallen off the face of the planet.
Yeah, I think the Bob's not been as kind to it this season as it maybe has been in the past. Cadillac seems to be coming back in popularity a little bit. Surprised we haven't got more Porsches, because they tend to be quite good all round. Similar characteristics to the Cadillac though when you're driving it. So I think we had 1 Cadillac last season, maybe 2. So big swing in what cars we're seeing attend.
It also is also somewhat dictated by iRacing. They control the majority of the BOP that goes on. So if iRacing powers that be deem that the Cadillac gets less power nerf, people are gonna drive it.
Absolutely. Alvaro Gutierrez, purple in sector 1, green in sector 2, running it right up to the line, but it wasn't over the limits. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Race Control might be able to tell us a little bit more about this. It's the kind of thing that Andy knows a little bit more than I do. But I think because Spa's a track that is raced in F1, they have adopted some of the Grand Prix rules for track limits. So it might not be the white line everywhere. It might be the edge of a curb in places like P1.
So per the rules tab in iRacing, track limits are defined by the back edge of curbing or the track white lines if there is no curb. There is a curb at Pujon. Therefore, you can use the curb at Pujon and stay within bounds.
Yeah, so taking a little bit, using as much track as possible there, Alvaro, on that lap, but a little bit off the pace in that third sector there. Still a competitive time, but not what we saw from him last time round. Is he going to be able to jump up to the front? I don't believe so, and actually he didn't improve over his previous lap. For unfortunately for him. Neither did Eloy, who was a 10th off what he did the previous time.
It was close though. Gutierrez's record currently stands at a 23.7. His last lap a 24.4. So less than a hundredth of a second. Yes, that's how timing denominations work.
Albert Preem had a pretty good sector 1 and then is about a second and a half off the pace in sector 2, so not quite sure what happened there. In fact, 2.5 seconds off the pace in sector 2, so he dropped off a bit. Jeffrey Ross not improving in the way he would want to. It's yellow, 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 but maybe this is more of a build lap to have one more big run at it. Nobody setting the timing board alight out there.
No.
Ryan G.
One of the things we don't
Walker.
necessarily know how the track is going to evolve throughout the run. Maybe it starts as good as it's going to get and you can get your absolute flying laps done then, and some of the pace goes away, maybe it just builds in.
Yeah, Ryan
It's very hard
Walker.
to get a beat on some of these tracks.
Ryan Walker yet to set a lap time or a proper lap time in this session. In fact, no, I'm telling you a complete lie. I've been lied to by iRace Control. He has set a lap time, but a little bit off the pace of what he would have wanted at the moment. And it is an improvement in the first sector. Not an improvement in the second sector, but still a half decent sector time. And we say he's a little bit off the pace. It's 2.5 seconds to these leaders, but it's not really that big a gap around a 2-minute lap time.
It's certainly more reasonable. That's the kind of gap where it's like, are we seeing any major mistakes on the lap? It looks fine. He was a little bit off the apexes through second chicane, but obviously has the run towards Blanchamont here.
Pretty competitive sector 3 as well compared to the other cars on the track. Jeffrey Ross.
Just an off lap. Like he just has a bit of wheel spin somewhere, loses some time on a straight, and that would be the difference he needs to really get him towards the front of the pack. He'll come across the line here for an improvement, certainly. It's a question of how much.
It's a second improved, but it only moves him up 1 place. Jeffrey Ross has been yellow, purple, yellow. He'll need to, I imagine, will be wanting to go purple in his final sector if he needs to move ahead. But like we say, he only needs to find 1,000th of a second around the whole lap to move himself up the order. Oh, gets loose! And this lap over. Then he pulls off a track, resets to try and go again, but we've had the 2-minute warning, so he won't be able to. Very surprised he didn't try and gather it up, get it back, turned around almost, go back through the final chicane, as long as he didn't get anyone in his way, and try and set another lap time. So it'll be P2 on the grid at best for the BMW driver.
Was that his first line lap? Or is... It's hard to tell sometimes how many laps people have done, especially when we're cutting back and forth between so many cars, but you can take a lot out of these tyres on a lap this long, and especially if you have a big lockup like that. This tyre model can be very unfavourable if you abuse your tyres on a slide such as that, so I can completely understand backing out of the session if you don't take it, especially when you've got a time as good as you've already posted, right? Let's not mince words. Jeffrey was like maybe like a breeze of wind away from getting pole position here. There was barely an improvement on his lap available to him, I don't think, and if you're abusing your tyres like that, you're definitely not going to find it. Last few drivers come through. Keldar will improve to 6th place, the 59.4. Well, look with a much better looking lap through the first 3 sectors. Checkered flag flies, as that will let Dunk take a second stab at it. Walker comes home, 3 greens, improvement, but not enough for a position, 2 minutes and 4.
Eloy iRacing showing a purple sector 1. My software not, so he might have matched it or beat it by a 10th or so. It's nothing incredible, but it is an improvement. Decent sector 2 as well, about 4 tenths off what Jeffrey Ross did on his way to that fastest lap, but quicker than most of the other drivers have managed. Yellow in sector 3 though, but still quicker than most other cars are going out on track at the moment. So Eloy looking good to potentially find an improvement here. I know he's not as close as second place is to first place, but it's only 100th of a second, so he can definitely move up as long as he doesn't make the same mistake that Jeffrey Ross did in the chicane, and he doesn't. Kisses both curves nicely, rotates fairly well, gets back on power, and run to the line. Is it an improvement? It is, and it goes to pole position.
He needed 100th, he found 12 of them. Eloy Cabanero has just stolen pole position for this first race of the season. Gutierrez will slot in fourth behind as well with a very close lap, actually. I think he was actually closer than Cabanero was to Ross before Cabanero had that absolute stonker of a lap. Vale, nope, I'm looking at the wrong car. That is Quinton Verdonk coming through 4 yellows, no hope of improvements. As Cabanero's still going.
I think he's probably just running until iRacing kicks him off the track, I imagine. Technically, you can do an in-lap. Uncommon, but iRacing will probably hit the counter in about 40 seconds, I believe. So he might get most of the way around.
Just take in the views. It is a very pretty track. So, like, one of my first racing game memories as a kid was I played Race Driver Grid for the Xbox 360, which just had Spa-Francorchamps in it. I didn't know the track by name at the time, but all I remember is just this massive, imposing hill that is Eau Rouge. And then, however many years later, when I get into like actual racing, I'm like, wait a second, I remember this. This is great, big, massive hill from this other racing game, which was it was a pretty cool moment.
So a session over then. Eloy Cabanero is your pole sitter. We're going to take you through the results in just a moment. Once it clicks over to warm up fully and we can pull up the results, which should be about now. We can get this thing to disappear.
While drivers on their warm-up, just making sure they got the right setup loaded, making sure there's no funnies. As we get onto the grid, someone's still at the qualifying setup. But here we are then with the GT3 qualifying first, as Oriol Falk with a very outstanding lap for Laconic Racing will take pole position for the first race of the season. Alex Ott will be alongside him in second place. Behind them, Ignas Vintorevski, his first outing as a pro driver, puts it third place on the grid. He'll have Daniel Warpy for company. Mark Lopez and Diego Val will take fifth and sixth, respectively, with Antonio Vitozzi and Adam Jarvis behind. Ninth place goes to Matteo Ubatali, and 10th to Paolo Antinori, both for Absolute Motorsport Acelith. 11th place sees Dave Van Veen for Velotti. Sure, that's a team name. He'll have Roman Dubert for company, ahead of Dave Van Eck and Monix Heister. Tedjan Blumen. Again, the fun names have already begun. Either way, he'll be coming off from 15th place. He'll have Sven Elmers for company, ahead of Jose Villarejo, Siar Van Ruchen, Stefan Ajama, and Senna Bokoven. And towards the back end of the grid, Christopher Stroll, I'm not going to be happy with it. He'll start the race in 21st
Right, everyone,
place.
as a reminder, your race will not start on the green flag. Your race will start when your class's pole sitter goes in the start zone.
Rudely interrupted there by
Also,
race
specifically
control.
to Oreo, as the GT3 pole sitter, we ask you to leave a decent-sized gap, so somewhere over 10 seconds between yourself and the hypercar field before the race starts. Other than that, wish you the best of luck and good have fun.
Apologies, everyone. That felt very loud on my headphones. I don't know how it felt for everybody else at home. Andy there, just with the usual reminder to the GT3 pole sitter to make sure they leave the appropriate gap to the hypercars on the start in case there's an incident. Obviously, Spa, if you have a big crash in Eau Rouge, your GT3s are going to want to be a little bit far back from it.
Well, it was a very rude interruption. I was about to say that Oliver Parkinson got 22nd place. Matteo Lemry, the last two drivers to set a time, will come to the start line in 23rd place. Ibrahim Ozkan and Liam de Kock, I'm guessing that's meant to be, 25th and shotgun on the field.
Okay, so just loading up GTPs. I'll run through these ones after I've made Simon go through all those very difficult names. So Eloy Cabanero is on pole position, as we saw with that stonking lap time at the end. Albert Preem just 1/1000th ahead of Jeffrey Ross, even though it was showing as an equal lap time on iRacing, so they were pretty bang on close to each other. Not much between it at all. Alvaro Gutierrez in P4, Quinton Verdonk coming home in P5, Emre Kamaldar P6, Juanto Avale in P7, Ryan Walker in P8, and Carlos Ponce in P9. That's your GTP field, a little bit easier there. The slightly shorter field that we had to get through. We're a minute to the green. There are still seats available in the Ansel Racing IMSA Series Season 7, and as well as that, there is a drop round as usual in the series, so you can join after this race, and as long as you attend everything else, it means you won't lose out by not attending one race. That's what that drop round's there for, so you can still grab your seat on the website, and the link for that should be in the description, and if not, is in our bio. So head over there if you want to grab a seat for this season. And the link to the Discord is also there if you want to join and ask some of the other drivers what it's all about and how the series is run. And sort of before we get going, let's just give a big thank you to Andy and Amy, who are running the race control booth again this season and ran it pretty much all of last season as well. So a lot of work goes in it from those guys. And if you want to see what kind of work that is, head over to the Discord and you should be able to see the full race control summary of the race at the end of every event.
And before we start the race, we're handing out black flags. 305 of Kemeldar, I believe, gets a black flag for reasons I'm not quite sure of.
I think it'll be speeding in the pit lane or something if it's in warm-up.
During the warm-up, how dare.
Nice to see Eloy being careful there as he came around Daniel Morphy through Eau Rouge. That's probably going to be one of the danger spots for the traffic in today's race. I believe we are set up for a short formation lap, which means we're just going to go from just before the bus stop, I believe, and my tracker is showing me that as well. Yeah, so it means we won't have to wait for the drivers to do a full lap, which is always nice.
It does sort of have that build-up doing the full formation lap, though.
It does. It would be a long formation lap around Spa.
Who is capable of doing a formation lap? Because some people I have seen, I am not a particularly high rating driver when it comes to road, I will admit, but it is fun to see how some people just don't understand the concept of driving a car in a reasonable formation.
It's always tragic how you can not do a race for several months and then say you're practicing for an endurance, particularly Le Mans, and you get to the Ford chicanes and you're hit before the race even starts by somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, and unfortunately can happen quite often.
Not happening here though, as we are rolling off just before turn 16. Pace car starts rolling. We have 5 lights up, we are not using them.
No, so those of you who haven't raced with us before, there's a start zone that's predefined by race control. I believe that is the DRS line just after the bus stop chicane up until the start finish, but I might be wrong. But I think there's a white line on the road somewhere along there, which is the start of the start zone, and the leader has to go within that start zone, and once they've gone, everybody within the class can go. That's basically...
if you know the NASCAR restart zone, it's exactly like the NASCAR restart zone.
Exactly, and it helps make sure that the GTP start is handled in the same way as the GT3 start as well, because we don't want GT3s thinking they go on green when they're 20 seconds behind the leaders. Okay.
I'll come to the start zone now. Barney will wave the green flag and we are go racing for the Anti-Stall Racing League Season 7.
Eloy with a good getaway at the start, but he's been swamped into turn 1. That's Albert Preem on the outside trying to go all the way round, and he is. And Jeffrey Ross had a look down the inside, but that's cost him a couple of positions as he's dropped back the order behind a couple of Cadillacs. So Eloy hangs on after all that.
GT3s take the green as well. They're now underway as we have this massive rush down Arouge, up through Radion, and now on the Kemmel Straights. Everyone trying to get it single file. GT3's through turn 1. Everybody looks like they've made it through unscathed for the most part. Maybe a few doors banged in, but certainly no permanent damage.
So Ignis on his first race in the pro category, qualified P3, already up to P2 in the new McLaren, and he's chasing down.
Oh, got a spinner. Hard into the wall. That is Adam Jarvis. Sideways on the track. Gets T-boned.
Don't know if race control are going to throw the yellow. I think we might get a yellow here. Or is everyone through it a bit too...
Everyone's through it for now. Unfortunately, the timing tower does appear to have disappeared. But a lot of cars hit in that. Adam Jarvis has taken a tow. So has Romain Dubert, Chris van Stryland as well.
We stayed green.
Massive what up.
Clearly.
It was just the tail end of the field that got caught out there. But yeah, just a huge wreck, and it all made it.
But are under investigation, about 20 different drivers there. And I can see the group that they put under investigation. Let's just say it's very big, and it doesn't actually fit in the dialogue box on iRace Control, because there are so many cars. I've got another car stopped at the side of the track there after that incident.
102 is parked. That is Dave Van Veen.
Jeffrey Ross has struggled a little bit on this first lap. Ryan Walker served a slowdown at the start, but he's already caught back up to the back of this pack, so he's okay to continue. No big incident there. Let's go back and take a look at what happened in that big GT3 incident that we saw.
Obviously under investigation by race control, but I think it's going to be, unless something happens in the backfield, no further action. Just one car gets loose, gets spun around, and at that point you're sideways in a very packed track. Hard to move out of the way even if you had space.
So Adam Jarvis got loose all on his own. Clicks a wall, comes back across.
Like, he was hitting somebody there. There was no escaping that one unscathed. Just unfortunately, everyone's then trying to get through a narrowing gap, and it's very hard to navigate those sometimes. Jarvis just... The catalyst, but I would struggle to penalise it. I see what race control say, but obviously a few cars taking tows. They do have access to fast repair, so they will probably take that and be on their way. But obviously, going to be struggling to get any permanent positions here as we go on for replay for Liam de Kock.
I believe this has an incident. Not sure what it is, but...
Oh, is this a Blanchimont moment?
Oh, it is. Oh, yeah. I'll catch you. Very unfortunate there.
The counter is at 1. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. Oh, dive bomb. Ooh, Matteo Batali almost gets his rear end taken out by David Van Eck there, but they managed to get it sorted before the corner. So
before we went into qualifying, I know Andy and Amy were chatting with Matteo, and he was saying he's struggling for pace a little bit. We've got a race here. Oh, banging doors at No Names. And that
just about has enough room to get back onto the track there, but almost takes a bit of gravel with him.
Oh, ooh, getting racy behind. That's Ted Jan Bloman putting just himself ahead of Paolo Antonori very late in the corner, and
Paolo's got some of the inside grass there, trying to just make sure he doesn't get into the car and is outside.
Tell you what, Jeffrey Ross, now that he's got that BMW in the window, he wants it. He's gone 4 tenths quicker than the leaders on the last lap, so he's on a charge now.
Look at Ted Van Bloemen here. Is he going to get there to Blanchimont? You would hope not, considering the speed of this corner and how aerodependent these cars are. Antonori keeps it very tight behind, though.
Antonori will be looking for a dive down the inside, and he's going to go for it. Oh, and it's someone deep wide on the outside. specific
blows the corner
instructions
entirely.
given by race control for rejoins, and they're followed nicely there, but that's going to cost. Not sure who that is that went off. I think it's Marnix Heister. So recovers okay, serves the slowdown and stays with the back of the pack. Crucially, that could have been a lot more costly than it was.
Does manage to keep the car pointing forwards. Everyone away unscathed, and this race will continue. Gap between cars starting to form a little bit now. Looks like everyone's calmed down a little bit after the action of the initial few laps. The one good thing about the bus stop chicane is that it does do a good job of just splitting the cars a little bit to try and calm the race down.
Still under
Sure,
investigation.
looks down the inside.
Oh, and it's
Gets
not...
tagged and around.
Yeah. Let's see if we can get a replay of that. I think this should do us. Really hard to tell from that angle, I'm totally honest.
Yeah, I'd need perhaps an onboard, but
Looks like he gets pinched a little bit from that angle.
yeah, I would agree with that assessment. It looks like he can't really be more on the curb than he already is, and the car's trying to take the racing line there. It's going to naturally pinch down and just gets a little pinched a bit too hard, excuse me. And around the car goes. These GT3 do not like getting tagged on the front like that. It's a very easy way to get the car looped.
Alvaro looking for the move on his teammate here to move up onto the podium spots, and he does, has the overspeed and carries the
Cadillac
Cadillac.
and Ponce also side by side coming into the combs. Trying to get racing all the way around this track right now.
Heister looking for a move here. Unusual place to go for it. Really difficult for GT3s to go side by side here, and he's got to try and make it work. Oh, and that was inevitable.
Oh! I'm calling that Blanchimont moment number 2. As that car is not getting back to pit lane under its own power. I can tell you that one. It is such a low percentage move trying to overtake into Blanchimont. I don't know. That
Looks like there's maybe a
So
bit of
that
net
did-
code. It looks like he got loose before they actually made contact.
I from that angle it looked like netcode. However, I would say from experience, I don't think you were getting through that corner without either someone backing out massively or some form of contact, be it netcode or be it a bit more direct. But the outcome, obviously, is that well, there's now a car just waiting for a tow in pit lane. I'm saying this racing might have calmed down a bit, but people still want to make moves, and I just don't think Blanchimont is the place you can make a move, especially when you've got such a good overtaking opportunity into the bus stop chicane coming straight up afterwards.
Yeah, it's really difficult. Once you get that, that's lap 1 Rugensen's no further action. It's really difficult, I think, when you going through there and you get that run and you kind of do want to stick your nose in. I remember seeing an interview of Max Verstappen. He did a move similar to that in a Toro Rosso once on somebody, and he said if he had that opportunity now, he wouldn't make that move because it's so high risk. But I think when you see the opportunity to get past and maybe you've been stuck behind for a few laps, it's kind of very, very tempting to take it.
Everyone always exercises caution when it comes to racing, but sometimes you just get stuck behind someone and you know you're faster than them, but you're not fast enough to make the move, and you're just sat there bleeding time when you know you need to make that move, and sometimes it just gets the better of you, and that you think you see a window like that, and obviously the results speak for themselves. Carlos Ponce currently 8th place, hunting down. It'll be Emery Kemeldar in front there.
Yeah.
Close racing.
Talking about losing time behind other cars, it looks like Emre's maybe the little bit of the cork in the bottle at the moment. He's about 4 seconds back from the car in front, and Carlos is all over the back of him.
Yeah, that car does look a little squirrely under power right now, and this is a track where you need to have the comfort to just get your foot down as smoothly as possible. You cannot afford to be losing time coming onto these straights. They are so big, and it's so important to this track that you need to make sure you maximize them to their fullest extent, otherwise you are just going to hemorrhage lap time.
That
And
instant
right
we
now, as Ponce,
Go
you're
on.
just stuck behind trying to make something happen.
that incident that we saw with Antonelli is being declared a Antonori, that is, sorry, it's been declared a racing incident by race control, who've looked at a few more angles than we did. Still close up front in GTP as well. About 3 seconds covers the top 4, 3.5 seconds.
That's sort of like
Like
the
to report
comfort
my
range.
incident.
Yeah, you want to be close enough that you get a draft.
lap 2, mining.
My lap 3, I think.
Tyster reporting that incident in Blanchimont, I imagine. Not sure what will come of that, but race control will review it. Sven here looking for the move
Ooh.
on Blowman to move up into P2 in GT3 AM. The inside in Puon is really brave and he can't quite make it work, but he's still all over the back of him.
If it's the incident of Blanchimont we are looking.
They're on the outside.
Yeah,
No
Blanchimont,
space.
Just
He's not
not-
got the overlap, and now he's got a car behind challenging.
Evers Van Ruin really close to the back of these guys now, so don't know if Blowman's had a little bit of an incident and made him lose a little bit of time. I'm looking at the sector times now, and there's nothing astonishing this lap, and his last lap was pretty good as well, so it just looks like a slow approach from Sven to get on the back of him.
I believe that is the BMW of Marco Lopez.
Lopez looking closer now to the car ahead, and he
To the
tries to go. Oh, and the traffic is here now. This is the leaders. Eloy Cabinero is going to get backed up into Albert Preem because of all of this. Albert can capitalise on this if he works well in the years. Albert Preem is now on the inside of the leader, and there's contact with Albert Preem and Alvaro Gutierrez, I believe.
No contact, just Preem just spins up the tyres.
Gutierrez flashes his lights. I'm coming through whether you like it or not. Sven's lost out in that a little bit to Ruin, I believe. Alvaro's going to make his way through now into Rouge, but unfortunately for Albert Preem behind, he's not going to clear that car. That's going to back him into Avale. He's going to try and move onto the podium. Preem going to pick up a nice toe from the GT3 ahead, but that'll maybe help protect him a little bit. Jeffrey Ross is now closing in on this battle a bit in the BMW, switching side to side, trying to find a gap. He's going to try and follow Albert Preem through. It doesn't, sits back, tries to capitalise on it maybe in a different way, duck back under, and these two in front still fighting it out after Albert lost out in that traffic moment. The GT3's too wide ahead. This is going to block him a bit. Albert Preem's teammate there in the Mustang, and he's got to slot through nicely. Preem finds a gap. The others are going to follow through now, but it's going to be really costly. And they do, except Ross struggles a little bit, uses the grass. It's going to use a 1X, one of his 1Xs for the race. He's running on, I think, none before that, if that even was one. So well managed there. Preem going to be disappointed that he lost out on that second place in that exchange, but overall he's actually come through pretty well, defended 2 positions that he maybe could have lost very easily on the Kemmel straight through. Daniel Morphy now in the GT3 category. They're moving their way up pretty quickly. Only about 4 more cars to get past ahead. That's Antonio Vitozzi they're getting past now. So Preem holds on. Eloy holds on as well to the lead. It didn't look like he was going to until Preem had that little moment.
Oh, Ponce gets bullied off the track. Contact further. They keep it off the gravel, but Ponce is not going to be happy with Mark Lopez.
I think was it Ryan Walker? I know he gets pushed off by the GT3.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That'll be reviewed by
Driver
race
up and
control.
down the track.
I think we knew chaos was going to come in the trial race that was run by race control last week to check all of their systems. I believe there were similar issues with the traffic. Everyone on their best behaviour today, though, so hopefully it's a little bit better. But yeah, that was
Oh, Ross is stuck. Ross is like 2 GT3s in front of him coming up Eau Rouge.
Oh, and he's going to get backed up right behind into, I believe that's Quinton Verdonk. He's going to get a really good run now. Ross is going to have to defend the inside. Lap 4 incident for car number 4, PON. I believe that'll be Carlos Ponce. Is under investigation where he was pushed off there by the GT3. Although we didn't see every angle, we didn't see what led up to that incident, so won't be too quick to judge.
Cloud has taken over the track. We're not scheduled any rain today, so just a dark patch for the skies, but certainly an ominous omen.
Yeah, but it'll maybe help the drivers cool down the tyres a little bit as well. Very high energy around here. It's a 10-second time penalty for Carlos Ponce for causing a collision GTP on GT3. So clearly race control think that that's what happened there.
They were very quick on that as well, so that must have been very confident in this one. Oh, still feel like
yeah, I think they're saying
there's
that
no room in the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
He didn't
I
so
can
much
see
get
him being-
pushed off as chose to go around the outside of the track.
Yeah,
Is
he
probably
went
how
around the
race
outside
control.
and then got pushed. He tried to push his way back on, and there just wasn't any reason to try and do that. And I just, yeah, low percentage move, gets the penalty deserved, but we just has to carry on now with that in tow. GT3 field still fairly well bunched up in places. You can see Mark Lopez here hanging on the back of. That is not in class. I believe that is still Sven Elmers he's got in front of him.
Yes, it is. He's been stuck now here for a couple of laps. And Sven has maybe backed off his challenge a little bit on the car ahead.
And now it's calmed down a bit, we can talk about pit strategy, because that's going to have to come up in about 10 minutes. We're on reduced fuel tanks. I'm going to shut up momentarily, because it looks like Mark Lopez is very close to the back bumper here.
And no blue flags, even though he's a pro driver on the AM drivers, no blue flags are in the same physical cars. So is he going to go...
He's been very good under the braking. He could maybe dive. No, chooses better.
I think he would... He's best
He'd
to
like
make the
to, but
move
he's not
into
going
turn
to.
5, I think. The top of the hill.
Oh, another full run here. Right near the back bumper of the Porsche in front. This has to be the move, surely, with a full tow and an excellent run up the hill, down the Kemmel straight. And easy as you like, Mark Lopez will take 10th on track.
Barley trying to make the move on Albert Preem.
Oh.
He's going to slot down the inside really hard to go too wide here, and they manage it for GT3 ahead. It's going to cause a little bit of chaos once again, and he has to back off a little bit, but Albert Preem wasn't able to get past it that first part, which is what is going to maybe cost him here on the run now. She's bringing Jeffrey Ross back into it as well. Volley really, really close here. I think we're going to see the move. Is he going to go and... No, we've seen this go wrong already so many times today. He's going to do it.
Don't do it.
Oh, there was nearly contact there. Albert Preem
I
had
think
to...
there was contact.
Oh, and there is on the corner as well. Albert Preem won't be happy. Oh, and Jeffrey Ross. Couldn't really tell if Preem turned in early or Avale left him out to dry there. We'll try and get a replay of it.
So while all that was happening, we were talking about how Lopez made the move. On my end, he was ended up in the grass. We'll get to that in the future point in time, because this is just unnecessary, in my opinion, for Avale. Like, the move into Blanchimont was never working. He does manage to get it through on the bus stop just about, but I'm not a fan.
Race control will probably be looking at that. Not necessarily mean anything will come of it, but they might just want to take a look if Preem's a bit unhappy with what went down.
Do you have a replay for Mark Lopez, though? I had him in the grass at some point after the overtake he made, so...
Yeah.
And there, he's in the grass.
Go back a little bit earlier.
Oh, okay. Just gets a little bit too antsy, trying to make sure he holds the position, tries to just take a little bit too much of the inside there, unsettles the rear on the curbing, and
Goes off twice.
he's on the grass. I'll give him credit. You know, it's not easy to recover the car sometimes.
Like a track of day and night at the moment. One half of the circuit pitch black, the other half with the sun shining down. Avale looked a little bit loose there. He's feeling the pressure from Preem, who's going to try and return the favour this time round.
They get past Senna-Bakoven. Very close is Primo, and what he's going to do is he's going to stay behind in Blanchimont, get a run set up, go to the outside because that's the space that Avale's left him.
Oh, the GT3 is going to cost him here. Yeah. Oh, lock up there as Prime narrowly avoids, and a couple of cars diving for the pit lane there. Jeffrey Ross was one of them, Avale one of them as well.
So as before I was talking about before we got into all the action, we do run reduced fuel tanks here in the Adstall Racing League. It's about 20 to 25 minutes is your optimum pit strategy for the most part. You do typically need to make 2 stops. We have seen drivers, especially in the GT3s, extend to make it a 1-stop race, but it usually ends up being very tight towards the end if that is the strategy.
Both drivers taking tyres. I believe you can take all 4, race control were telling me. Just want to see who, if either of them's able to beat the other one out, maybe saving a little bit of fuel. Avale's going to drop down first, and that's obvious. And yeah, he does. Jeffrey Ross jumps Avale in the pit lane. With a much shorter stop for fuel there. Much shorter.
Avale might have damage and not taken a fast repair. This is a very long stop for Avale now, 60 seconds. Unsure as to what's going on now.
See any obvious damage on the car. Needs to get moving quite quickly. Come back to that once we know what's going on.
Oh, just starts moving as soon as you cut away. Oriel Falk's down to 3rd.
I believe something happened here that we've missed, or is this just pit cycles?
This is not pit cycles. None of these drivers have pitted yet.
Very good point.
You can see he is the tail end of these 3 cars fighting for P1 right now.
This is how Alex Ott got past. Oh, and he's going to lose out when the GTPs come through. But we still don't know how Ignis got past. That was a little bit earlier on, it looks like. Must have happened when the rest of the chaos was going on.
Now that's just really good heads-up racing there by Alex Ott, just realising the space is going to be left open by the hypercar. And that is the advantage of this multi-class racing, that sometimes gaps are just forced open by nature of you have to let other cars through that you wouldn't typically in a single-class race. Falk certainly not out of this race. Obviously this is still very close towards the front of the field, and more drivers still chasing relatively close behind. But obviously losing out on track position is track position you then have to take back, and that's been challenging for some of these drivers.
This is how Ignis took the lead, and Alex is going to be fuming because it looks like he's lost the lead and then 2nd place in a traffic situation. That's exactly what happened. Because Ignis is going to get ahead. Oh, well, I was going to say I assume, yes, he does.
Yeah, I know, that you have to lift there as well, because otherwise you are going too wide up a Rouge, and that doesn't end well for anyone, as it looks like Alex Ott's been left high and dry.
Yeah, Ott stays out. Ignis and Falk come in, as do pretty much all the cars behind them. So Ott either saved fuel in the tow that he was in, the whole stint, enough to do one more lap, but he's going to do one more lap now without tow. And all of those other cars are going to come out in a pack.
Literally everybody behind him that I can see has pitted. Mark Lopez has come in, and everyone else has already pitted due to damage.
As have all of the AM drivers as well. So unless he's trying to save an incredible amount here and go for a 1-stop, I'm very surprised he hasn't come in with everybody else. Because, like I say, it's difficult because he's got warm tyres and he's on a lower fuel load, so maybe he can go a little bit quicker. But everybody else is going to come out in that nice big train, and they are going to go quicker than him.
They could potentially start tripping over each other, though. Alex Ott does have a lot of clean space to work in, and while the tow is nice, if you're the lead car, you're still going to have to punch all that air manually anyway. So.
Ignis and Oriel here both lost out to Daniel Morphy in the pit lane. He's pulled a bit of a blinder. I believe he was running in P4 before all of this.
4 seconds quicker line to line Daniel Morphy was compared to Ignis Vincherevsky's. I'm not sure what the tyre options were there for the GT3 drivers, but...
He was 4 seconds shorter in the box, so yeah. doesn't seem long enough to be tyres, so...
Just a good fuel run then, I guess.
Yeah,
For
possibly he
Morphy,
was
who-
running a little bit further back, like we said, maybe not using as much fuel, because those guys up front were fighting a lot.
So now, what is the play here with your odds? Because you're coming up towards Francorchamps now. It's 25 minutes in the race. If you pit now, I will tell you, you have no hope of making it to the end of the race. You need to go at least another lap and probably another 2 to make it on one stop. Is this just a late pit call? Well, he will save time on fuel. Either on this stop or his final stop, which presumably if he's coming in now, he will be making another one towards the end of this race. See what the blend ends up being then.
It was about 31 seconds up the road of the others, 32 seconds at the last sector, and I think we've been looking at about 38 seconds for the pit stop. So I know you kind of cut out the last corner in turn 1, but it's going to be incredibly close.
He was in the lead 3 as they came into the pits. We see now Morphy coming to the line. Ott
Leader's driving past and Ott is
stationary
setting
now,
off.
moving.
Where is Alex Ott? Not with that lead pack, unfortunately.
No, just about on the tail of it, I would say.
As long as he can pick
I
the
think-
toe
I
up down the
think-
Kemmel Straight, he'll be alright, I would have thought. Just dropping back at the moment.
Ooh, I was going to say he might have got away with that. I'm not so sure right now. He just needs a toe though, and I think there's a car 7 in front of him who's going to give him a hand there. That is Daniel Morphy. Oh no!
Slow down for Daniel Morphy.
Yeah. He definitely having a slowdown coming down the Kemmel Straight, and obviously that's cost him dearly. Now demoted into 3rd place. Had the lead, has to be kicking himself at that one.
Yeah, got the lead with that brilliant strategy call. Race control confirming there wasn't a meatball for Avale, so they're not quite sure why he sat there for so long. But he is now running right off the back of the rest of the field, 17 seconds back from Carlos Pons, who's a long way back from the lead anyway.
Like, I have to believe it's non-meatball damage then he was trying to repair. There's the only thing I can think of. Obviously, he's 30 seconds longer in the pit. No, more than that. Maths is hard. He was in there for a while, doing something, so... And obviously the car's still not feeling quite right to him. It's very unfortunate open to the season, but as you say, it is a drop round. You just don't want to use it that early because we still have an entire season to go. Jeffrey Ross currently trying to hunt down Emery Canaldar. I think we've been seeing this quite a bit this race.
Yeah, Jeffrey Ross seems to have that mega 1-lap pace, but is maybe struggling with the top speed to help him get past some of these other cars at the moment. The leaders kind of separated out a little bit now, but that might well change when they start to catch traffic again, which they are doing actually.
Caminera just catching the tail end of the GT3s. I've gone through a few of them already, to be fair, but this is the part where they've been fairly close together, so you have to make multiple passes at once here. Ooh, they're swerving out of the way of each other. Caminera are not happy about it. Gets on the blinkers. Not sure what lines are being taken there. Finally gets clear. Now just needs to try and gap Gutierrez, who's still trying to get through cars. He wants to get through as many as he can before they get to a Rouge.
Well,
looking very close here. Could dive. Not close enough.
He's trying to find...
I thought there was more of a run.
He's trying to find a way past. He's really stayed on the back of Ignis since Ignis took the lead, so Ignis clearly doesn't have the pace to pull away right now, and it's difficult around here anyway. You do need a very big pace delta to pull it off.
Well, you either need a pace delta, or there's going to be a friendly hypercar coming through in a few moments' time. Cabanero just coming towards No Name now for a reference on what the gap is like right now. So if you're struggling to get past on your own, we've seen it before, use the multi-class to your advantage. Let the hypercar make the gap and you just follow through.
Yeah, and amongst this, Daniel Morpy's managed to get back within a second, and Alex Sott is on the back of him as well. So we could quickly see this turn into a four-way fight for the lead, especially if...
Oh, Bowman, Ted-Jan Blowman completely loses it on the exit of Pujon. Front bumper completely torn off that car. Able to drive away, but that car has to come to pit road. There's no way it's going to be healthy. It looks like he just gets a bit too much bite on the curb. The car just goes around on him.
Just gets loose mid-corner.
Then.
Gets loose mid-corner. Very strange. Took the tyre to its limits and hit that cliff.
Oh, Jeffrey Ross is not going to be happy with Sven Elmer's just unfortunate time and gets the run up to Blanchimont and just catches the GT3 right in the middle of the corner. But that does put some space from Kemeldar and Ross. As Cabanero continues to tear through the field.
This could be the chance for Oriol Falk. 2.5 temps as they go into Radion. Upper Rouge. He's going to get a mega run here. Really close. Using all of the track there. I think he's going to have very, very good run at the end of the Kemmel straight. And if these two get feisty, it really does bring Daniel Morby back into it. As I believe that's the leader trying to make his way past these guys as well. Really.
Yep, that is Cabanero chasing down Vince Ruskies and Falk. Gets past one. What happens when you get past the second?
He is going to go past the second.
The inside, and they're clear before they even make it to the middle of the corner.
Yeah, Ignis will have been hoping that he slotted in between the two of them there. That would have benefited him a little bit. This is Alvaro Gutierrez now coming through. He's chasing his teammate and clears Ignis in plenty of time for Puon, so that won't affect this battle too much. Albert Primo will be the next guy to come by. He's going to get stuck behind Daniel Morpy. Tries to go past him midway through Puon and does successfully.
Looking around the outside, he's going to get blocked on the apex. Ooh, maybe a bumper tap there. But we'll get it sorted.
I'd say it kind of feels like Ignis has been pretty careful with this traffic. He's letting it through before they get to the corner, which is the way to do it. If you're not going to block them, you need to be very compliant. Otherwise, they're going to go side by side with you through the corner, and that's what's going to cost you a lot of time. But he's not got a particularly good exit here, and Oriol Falk is gaining on him. It's a little bit of a short run for a GT3 to make a pass into the chicane, but you can make it work. Well, he can't, unfortunately. Emre Kamaldar has got Jeffrey Ross all over the back of him as well that we're watching here, but Jeffrey Ross dies to the pit lane. Very bizarre. With 27 minutes left to go.
It's on the upper limit.
It's definitely
to the end.
doable, I think, with some saving.
Did Ross have contact? That's the only thing I can think of, is that maybe he's just doing the car in a way he doesn't like and he just wants to take the fast repair. Oh, spinner! Carlos Ponce, turn one! And immediately under investigation by race control.
Finish race control, check my lap.
Let's take a
It's
look.
on the blinkers early, but he needs to get there. He does get there.
Oh, he's going to go into the back of him, isn't he? Yeah. I can see why he's upset.
Yes.
If he didn't get on the brakes a lot earlier than usual, I can see why he's upset about that one. But he did, you know, he did suddenly take an awful lot of air away from the GT3, who may not have been expecting it. It shouldn't affect him too much, but...
Not under braking, certainly. See what race control make of it. Obviously, they'll be able to go back and compare previous laps if they need to. But yes, that's two rather big instance points. No, to be fair, the first one wasn't actually that big, was it? For points.
10 second
penalty immediately issued.
to the GT3, that is. Clarity.
Django Val.
Liam de Kock looking for a move here on Matteo Lemeroy to move up to P6 in class. Can't quite make it work.
It's just so hard because as soon as you pull out of line in the GT3s, it is just a massive parachute of air you're driving into. It can be so hard to generate the runs even with the draft. Falk once again has to let another type of car and another opportunity at making the pass. Ooh, overshoots the corner.
He goes deep, yeah.
Does
comes on a little bit sharply.
Little slap on the wrist, but does have to make the move again.
Oh, and that will not be making Alex Ott a happy man, Oriel Falk, that is, sorry, and a happy man at all. That GTP chose to run side by side with him through there. Ignis is not happy about it either as he flashes his lights at the GTP. Ignis will have been helped out a little bit by the toe there, though. And that's maybe bridged him enough of a gap to stay ahead here. Daniel Morphy is now right back in this battle, and Alex Ott isn't far away from it either.
You dived me into the bus stop, completely blew the corner, and then you door the guy I'm racing. Like, come on, man. Still, it has been close between these two towards the front, but obviously not enough of a difference between them to make a move. Falk just happy to sit in position as we get on board with Albert Freeman's weird spin there. I didn't see who that was.
Senna Bochhoven. Take another. Is there contact? Really hard to tell with that angle. Let's take one more look at it. Oh, it's very hard to tell. Race Control will need to have a look. I don't know if there's some. Linda Koch and Matteo Lemeroy appear to have made contact in Blanchimont as well. Yeah. Looks like they've gotten away with it, unless they're going to have contact in the bus stop as well.
It wouldn't surprise me.
That is the
okay.
There we go.
Okay. I will give credit to Liam de Kock. I think he realised he was in the wrong there and decided, no, I'm just going to give up the position.
Senna,
I suspect McCoven might be trying to nurse a damaged car back to pit lane.
it very much looks like it, yeah. Race Control will not look too friendly on that, though.
No, we have seen this one before. I will restate my opinion on the matter. Just tow the bloody car. Thank you, goodbye.
Confirmation from Race Control that was a netcode incident, unfortunately. I think Race Control will look at this, though. Keeping it mostly off the road, but they don't tend to look too kindly on people driving unsafe cars back to the pit lane.
An amazing cut back to live footage there. Listen, the tow might take time, but the tow honestly doesn't take that much longer than it would take you to drive the car back normally, and sometimes it is actually shorter given the state of the way you're having to drive the car as it stands.
In all fairness
also,
to him, it
you don't
looks
have to...
like he has control of it. It's just not very quick. So maybe...
It is a hazard to other drivers, is mine and presumably Race Control's concern, though. We've seen what happens previously trying to nurse damaged cars back. Less understand that one the better, to be fair, but... Yes, just tow the car, you'll make everyone's lives, including your own, a damn sight easier. Gutierrez car from GT3 is currently still chasing a 1.5 second gap, as Albert Preem, unfortunately, in the replay, means he's going to have a bad time.
No, it's saying he passed Gutierrez, and then Gutierrez went straight back past him. I'm going to assume that was... there we go. That was Gutierrez dipping out of the session for a second.
I do appreciate iRacing for all it is, and like netcode is a terribly hard thing to do in a sim like this, but sometimes it just has the funniest outcomes. Either way, Liam de Kock currently still hunting down. Ooh, Matteo Lemeroy, and getting a bit friendly with him there on the exit turn 1. Has to let him. You do not want to be side by side. You do not want to be side by side. Just about gets away with that. Has to back off massively. Cost himself a run now that he could have had going into the Kemmel Straight.
Quinton Verdonk gives them a wide berth, as does Emirates behind.
Yes, like, you're obviously allowed to make a move wherever you want as long as you can make it. There are some where I just feel like it's just not sensible to make a move. And the run up, like, from turn 1 up Eau Rouge towards Radion is just somewhere where I say it's just not worth it. It is so low percentage to go side by side through there. You're barely ever making an overtake just because you don't really have, like, the chance to really overspeed someone into Eau Rouge. And there have been countless incidents into Eau Rouge where the car's just gone completely out of control and taking people out of races. Just don't bother.
Oriel Falk looking like he's going to have a good run here. He's really close out of turn 1, and he is gaining down the straight here.
I struggle to believe it. We've seen this song and dance before, and I believe they're just going to come onto the racing line and just go, yeah, we can't really generate enough of an advantage down the straight with the tow in the current configurations of the cars. That Falk is just relegated to second place and seems to be there in perpetuity right now.
And we just saw the first, well, a couple of them are now done, and actually a couple of drivers, particularly in AM, have now made their second stop of the day, which indicates that we are now in that region. We have done about 40 minutes, so we are at the 2/3 mark, so we will see, I suspect, some cars coming in for their final stop quite shortly, which could shake things up a little bit at the front if we have a couple of people try something different. I think Oriel will want to do whatever Ignis does and hope he can find a way past, because he's so close. He just needs a small little wiggle from Ignis at the exit of turn 1, and he will have an opportunity.
I suspect Ignis is going to try and run the tank dry, just to try and minimise the last stop. Probably what Falk's best move is to pit. I would say either no, I think he has to be now. I think Ignis can go another lap, so I think he will go another lap. I think they can go a few more laps, actually. Currently, this would be their 8th lap in the stint. They did 10 last time, so potentially could go further.
Was Alex Ott that went a lot further than these other guys? Well,
just one lap.
Just one lap. It felt a lot longer than a lap, but I suppose it's a...
it is a long lap, yeah. I will say. But...
so he's maybe going to try something. Both of the leaders stay out. Alex Ott stays out because Daniel Morphy is coming in.
Trying to offset the strategy even further. So if we assume Ignis is going to pit or do another 10-lap stint, presumably Falk, if he wants to go off strategy with Vintrowski's, he needs to pit this lap. That would be the 1 lap difference. Leave your fuel tank running as low as possible, waiting its call between Lemeray and Koch. But yeah, just try and offset your opponent, because obviously, like, the difference between those two on pace right now is just not enough to generate an overtake. That or Falk is just backing down fantastically and is just able to conserve a little bit more fuel and just trying to get a really short pit stop going.
Yeah, I mean, that is the advantage. The big advantage for Falk at the moment is he's run this entire stint behind Ignis, and has never really looked close enough for a move. But like I say, has he never looked close enough for a move because he's just lifting off and saving the fuel. Even if you don't go a lap longer, you can short stop that last pit stop and jump somebody in the pits.
You only need enough fuel to make the end of the race. Doesn't matter how it gets in the car. You just got to make sure you don't have an incident where you run out of fuel coming towards the line. We've seen that happen a few times in the past. Although, to be fair, that was mostly relegated to the one stop gone wrong strategies, let's call them.
Avale with another long stop. Sat stationary for quite a while.
On my end, he's just come in, so...
He has, but Ross has now jumped him. Although he had a long stop last time, didn't he? Yep, sorry.
Yes.
Getting mixed up with drivers. See, if Falk or Vincereskis comes in this time round, it'll be crucial for who fights for this lead, and Vincereskis comes in, and Falk, as we expected, has more fuel than him, so is going to go another lap.
Not the way around I expected that to go. Okay, Venturowski's will be the first to bite.
I think he
guess
was
that
probably
just means
expecting to
he's-
see a lot of other people in as well. Because he's kind of released
No.
Falk now.
Other takers immediately. Obviously, cars still passing pit entry. So Ott stayed out, Vitosi stayed out, Van Eck stayed out, Elmers and Van Ruhen have stayed out as well. A bunch of cars there as we have a little replay with Albert Preem.
Showing a crash, but then he went straight into pit lane, so I don't know if it's just because he's taken a funny line through here. Whoa, that's why. Nearly hits the pit-in wall.
You know what? I would call that a funny line. So Venturowski's is out in P8 right now after coming to the pit lane. As Venturowski's has now Mark Lopez for company. Vitosi chasing down Alex Ott.
Kind of just crept up on us here, not really been in the same conversation as these cars, and just crawled onto the back of them. So I think right now Vincereskis would come out still pretty much neck and neck with these guys, but would expect folks.
Let's see what Fox
Did
does. 'Cause he's
Vincereskis
got
comes in the
fuel.
last lap, or is this one lap completed now, or two laps completed now?
This is his out lap still. It's remember the part. This is a very long lap.
Yeah. So is Falk going to come in this time around? I think that's what we'd expect to see. And he does. Pretty much everyone follows him
I
in.
think, yeah, he's going to take everyone with him. Venturowski's has a tow actually from Paolo Antinori. So it actually worked out quite well for the McLaren driver. Obviously, a fair few McLarens with the 720 coming into the GT3 field for this season. As Antinori takes a hard right, as does Mark Lopez. That will free up the Lithuanian.
The leaders are going.
Goes straight.
Vincereskis
It's
makes
gonna
his
be
way
close.
through turn one. Remember what we saw last time, though? It was Alex. Oh, I can't remember who it was. One of these drivers came out the pit lane ahead of the others, or close to the others, and lost a lot of time down the straight. It looks like they are going to stay a fair chunk ahead of Vincereskis, though. Who's going to have some serious overspeed,
Ooh.
but he's a long way back. A
Very
long way back.
Pit time difference. Vincerowski's was line to line 36 seconds. The three cars in front of him were 32s or below. 4 seconds longer in the pit lane for Vincerowski's. This could be a blinder where he's actually got enough fuel to make it to the end if they go run towards the end. Obviously, the checkered flag gets controlled by Emre Kemeldar in the GTP field. If they need to go long because of the way the timings work out, this could go in Vincerowski's favour if he's got the fuel, but right now he is hurting for track position. As Cabanero comes through. But the race very much on. You see the two GTP leaders, not the GTP leaders, because Kemeldar has not taken the second stop yet.
You know what we didn't point out? That Falk lost the lead to Ott in that pit sequence.
Also true. It's an absolute mess of a race right now.
So what he's done is gone a lap longer than the previous leader, who
Oh,
and then lost
That
out
makes
to
sense
another
then.
car that was with him.
because presumably you'll see he's 2 seconds quicker in the pit timings than Oriol Falk was.
Yeah.
So Keldar comes into the pits. That will free up Eloy Cavanero to retake the lead of the GTP field. Alex Ott, 1.7 seconds the gap to Oriol Falk. Ford versus Ferrari versus Ford Antonio Vitozzi, excuse me. Currently in that third position, a bit further afield.
I've just realised the McLaren logos aren't showing. We'll try and get that fixed for next season, for next race.
The joys of having a new car and software that requires everything to be nice and neatly up to date at all times.
Daniel Morpete looking to shake up a move on Ignis. He's dropping back a little bit now. It's just so difficult in the GT3 field. Without a mistake from the car in front to get past, unless you can try something.
Oh, speaking of mistake, big loose there from Richarevskis. Morpete's going to dive to the inside, thinks better of it, can't get the overlap. Chooses to play patiently, no chance through no-name corner for certain. This fight for fourth place in the GT3 Pro field.
I think if we see him do it, it's going to be in a perhaps more odd place, an unexpected place to do it. He's got to surprise Winsorevskis if he wants to get past. Falk doesn't seem to have the pace to match Ott at the moment. He's now a second clear of him.
That was 1.7 actually. I think Falk might actually have the pace in hand. Keep an eye on that one as it looks like it's yo-yoed out a bit again, but...
Yeah, he gained 7 temps in Sector 2 and then lost 3 temps in Sector 3.
Where are they on track? They might have had to contend with the 88 of Carlos Villarejo coming through. Nope, I am looking at the wrong field. That is the GT 388. Still this fight very much on for 4th place. Morpete a little too far back right now, but we've seen him get very close at other points in the track. Meanwhile, Cavanero enjoying a 2-second lead over Alvaro Gutierrez with Albert Preem. Just a bit too far to do anything, but stuck in 3rd place. As Heister looks like he got some grass there on no name corner.
I think he's just lost the rear a little bit on the entry. Oh, no, just runs deep.
Ah, fair.
Keeps it pointing in a straight line, though.
You want to take as much of the curbing there as you can, and sometimes you just get a little bit too much, and on the exit there is a nice, delicious grapple trap that will stop any plans you had of an amazing run.
Ted-Jan Bloman is currently running P5. He's got quite big gaps either side of him, but he is on 17x, so if he gets one more, that's going to cost him big time.
18, the instant limit here for a drive-through penalty. Which over a 1 hour race I feel is, yeah, very, very lenient. Until we go to the Red Bull Ring.
Yep. Well, we tend to see a lot of drive-throughs.
Oh, Keldar's off the track. I don't know what happened. Given the lack of cars around him, I'd have to believe that was a self-inflicted incident, but...
Nice, going to go deep here. Whoa. This is a rear. In all fairness, he's done fairly well there.
Very good save. Will lose out a few seconds there, doesn't lose a position, and he'll just have to deal with any damage his tyres accumulated there, but certainly could have been worse.
Antonori looking to get on the podium.
GT3 AM.
Van Ruin ahead. Ah, no, it's not. That's Mark Lopez ahead. The pro driver that he seems to be stuck behind a little bit now. As the 2 cars in front of him, the leader... sorry, not the leaders. The podium sitters of Sven Elmers and Chris Van Ruin are not too far at the road and are really close to each other. They're still having a big battle. Should have been going at it pretty much all race. Dave Van Eck, we've not spoken about him too much, but running in first place at the moment and has pretty much all race, I believe. So
It's just been a good, quiet race with Van Eyck. You can't complain about this. It's just one way you get in the car, you turn an hour's worth of laps, and you end up with a clean car and a victory at the end of it. It's
exactly
just,
what you need as well in the
what do you want?
championship. Even if you're not going to do it and finish first, just that consistency that he's shown all day. I don't think we've cut to him for any mistakes or any incidents or anything like that. He's running on only 5 incident points as well, which is pretty low compared to a lot of the field. Matteo Lemeroy on 17 as well, also very close to that penalty of a drive-through.
We should see the black flags as they come up if someone does go over that limit. Oh, certainly for their sake, I hope they don't. Small P once again hounding the back bumper of Vincherevsky's, but again, it just doesn't seem like these GT3s have a reliable way through right now on their own, which is rather sad to say. Car through Pujon towards second chicane. The threat of a hypercar behind them. This is probably your best chance of making an overtake is if the car makes a gap for you, or Robbie gets a bit out of shape on the entry there, trying to not get into the back of that's Carl's Ponce coming through.
Yeah, Ignis knows that's cost him a little bit of time and put Morphy back on his trail, which is why he's not happy.
But I think it's cost Morphy more time, unfortunately, with that entry into turn 14, where Morphy was sideways on the entry.
I think if he wants any chance of getting by, he needs to be within the furthest away he can be and have a chance is 2.5 temps going through turn 1. And the best way to do that is if Ignis struggles to get past some of this lap traffic that he's coming a cropper of. But no, but Mercedes pulls out of the way there quite nicely.
I thought Vincherevsky had a bad exit. It's certainly not enough for Morphy to have a sniff.
They're nice and close here, though.
If I'm Morphy, I might have just shown the bumper there. Not that I think he could have made a move, but you need to start forcing these mistakes because Vincherevsky's shown to be a very reliable driver. If you're just staying behind him at all times, he's just going to hit his marks consistently. If you need to get this pass, you need to spook him to a stage.
This is the closest he's been. He is going to get a move here. He is going to try and go. Pick your side carefully. He's going for the outside. He needs to clear him before he gets 7 if that's what he wants to do.
He's half alongside
Ignis
here.
is fighting back well, though.
Later on the brakes is Ignis. They're going to make contact, I guarantee it.
Still side by side.
Not there, not there. Ooh, Ignis backs out. Ignis backs out.
Oh, Morphy gets loose on the exit, but stays ahead, and that's crucial. He was within that 2.5 temps that we said. Ignis sticks his nose in. Can't.
No, that's what I thought Morphy should have been doing, but he didn't need to in the end. I have no idea what happens.
Won't
with
be
Ignis,
over.
But just.
Oh, what's happened to Alex Ott? That's Alex Ott off the road there, crabbing with some serious damage to the car. The leader. That was our leader, and he's towed to the pit lane. What's happened here to Alex Ott?
It's all come undone in the last 2 minutes. What's going on?
What is going to happen? It's just so bizarre. Oh, no. Oh.
Oh.
Oh, and he nearly took the new leader with him. Gets it spun around, but I think he's going to realise he has suspension damage at this point because he's going to tow back. Yep, it's toast. So unfortunate there for the leader. With 1 lap to go, he's lost the lead. Promotes Oriol Folch back into the lead.
And now that overtake that Morphy put on now puts him on the podium.
I don't think it's over yet, though. It's going to be white flag for these guys as they come across the line, but Ignis will need to be a little bit closer than this if he wants to get by, unless he's got a little bit more straight line speed than the BMW.
Varney giving them the flag as they pass the line. It will be Cabanero who controls the end of the race. But right now it is a shootout between
Ignis is a
Vincherevsky's.
bit too far back here to make the move, really. You needed to be at least 3 temps, 4 temps, really closer than this to have a go.
Vincherevsky just does not seem to have the pace in that final sector. and that's what's cost him the position, and I think that's what's going to cost him a chance. So the checkered flag has come out for Cabanero, who will take the line now, and he will win the opener for Season 7 of the Anti-Stall Racing League. Gutierrez just a second behind, won't be able to take the victory away. Albert Preem comes home in 3rd place in the end, but a fantastic run there for Cabanero and Gutierrez. 1-2 for the team, as Ted Dan Bloman, the first finisher of the GT3s, will unfortunately be 5th in the GT3M category, as Falk will lead the GT3s forwards towards the end of this race. Has now built up a good gap to 2nd place, 2.4 seconds to Vitozzi, and looks to be a very comfortable. Perhaps the victory was in doubt for a few moments, but Falk has driven to perfection here and will presumably, unless something goes horribly wrong, get this car home in 1st place.
So Oriol Falk led the race from pole position, lost the lead in the first pit cycle to Ignas Vincerevski's. Oh no, sorry, through traffic to Ignas Vincerevski's. Didn't regain the lead in that pit cycle, lost out a little bit actually. And then pit cycled again to jump Ignas Vincerevski's, but lost the lead that time round to Alex Ott. Alex Ott then crashed with 2 laps to go in the race to give the lead back to Oriol Falk, but nearly took Falk with him as he came back onto the track. So Falk's been really through it all this race. He is going to come through the final chicane to take the race. Alex Ott has just posted in the driver chat a little bit of a meme about him crashing out with 2 laps to go, but Falk won't care about that. He's going to come home to win the race. Antonio Vitozzi, who we spoke about maybe twice during the whole race, is going to come home to finish 2nd. Morphy with that crucial pass on Vincerevski's.
Hey, Matteo, can I say thank you for that battle? It was a little tappy, but damn, was it awesome.
Is going to come home to finish
Yeah,
P4
thank you,
after
mate. It was amazing and a nice job play. I appreciate it.
leading the race there. That's the drivers Matteo Lemeroy and Liam de Kock talking about their battle that they had. We did see that they bumped a couple of times, but clearly both drivers enjoying it with some donuts at the end of the race as well.
And to close that counts then, Dave Van Eck will come home to win the GT3M category ahead of Sven Elmers and CR Van Ruyten.
Dave Van Eck, another driver we only spoke about to say we didn't speak about him, so
The best kind of race.
Yeah, exactly. It's what you want.
It all goes quiet over the circuit, Spa-Francorchamps. Engines burning for the last hour, but that is the first race of the season over and done with.
I believe we've got Oriol Falk for an interview here. Just trying to grab him in. Oriol, that was a little bit of a roller coaster. You led at the start and then lost the lead and then lost the lead again to another driver in the pit cycle, and then a little bit of an incident for Alex Ott, who appears to be pretty upset with what he did. But yeah, what was that like for you? Because it looked like a little bit of a roller coaster from the outside.
Well, I played this race kind of safe. I switched tires on the pit stop, and then I was running, I think, higher wing than the rest because I know Spa. So when Ott was in front, I just assumed it was P2 for me, which was good. But then he started sliding a bit more, so I thought maybe tires were gone, and he had an unfortunate mistake. I mean, he was doing a great stint, but yeah, shit happens, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, go on.
I was going to say, talk to me about traffic, because it does seem like it did cost you towards the earlier stage of that race, where you had the lead and then had,
yes.
Was it Vincerevski's come through?
I mean, the first GTP, it is what it is, right? He pushed me wide, and that's it. I'm more concerned about the second one, because Blanchimont is quite difficult, so he dive bombed me. I quite understand, but at the same time, I just went wide, took a slowdown, and that was it, right? Ott was gone. But then again, 2 laps later, he got also like dive bombed by GTP, and he lost as well time. So sometimes you lose time, sometimes you win. It is what it is. It's just like that corner is super difficult, and you can see them on the mirror, and you know he's gonna dive, and you just prepare for the worst. But yeah, I mean, just a slowdown. Very happy for the win for a Ferrari.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a long way to go in the season, but are you looking forward to any tracks in particular that are coming up for the rest of the calendar?
Uh, yeah, some tracks where the Ferrari doesn't understeer to madness. I don't know, some urban tracks. I think shorter tracks condensate more the group and it's easier to fight. I think longer tracks, those known super big tracks, tend to be more of a train tracks. So hopefully that the urban tracks give or some more slow tracks give more fights.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, congratulations. Thanks for joining us, and good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Okay, we'll take you through our results quickly. We did see more cross the line, and I just had a little bit of a note from Jeffrey Ross that he crossed the line with 0.00 litres of fuel in the tank.
Calculated to perfection.
Yeah. So Eloy Cabinero is your winner. He led the whole race, I believe. Alvaro Gutierrez came in to finish in P2. Albert Prima had a little bit of a mistake when he was about to take the lead that cost him second place. He dropped down to third place but stayed there after fighting a couple of the other cars for it. Quinton Verdonk's going to finish in P4. Emre Kamaldar finished in P5. He did have a couple of mistakes, so he was running a little bit higher before that. Ryan Walker finished P6. Juanto Avale P7. Jeffrey Ross P8, which I think he would have expected a little bit more, but he had a couple of issues during the race, so I think we'll see him come back stronger next week out after that pretty impressive qualifying performance. And then Carlos Ponce finished in P9. GT3 Pro, so Oriol Falk, who we were just speaking to, obviously won that race by 2 and a bit seconds. Antonio Vitozzi, but that really doesn't tell the whole story of what happened in that race. Daniel Morphy with that pretty impressive pass to get up to P3 after being sat behind for so long. Dropped down Ignis to P4, who was once leading the race, obviously, for probably the longest stint of anybody. Matteo Ubertali finished P5, Mark Lopez P6, Ibrahim Oskan in P7, Django Val in P8, and Marnix Heister in P9, who had a couple of issues, and Adam Jarvis, who was caught up in that lap 1 incident, who finished in P10. And then Alex Ott in P11, who was the once leader with 2 laps to go in the race. And Robin Dubert, who had to retire after lap 1 or 2, I believe, after a big incident. And then I'll let Simon take us through the AM drivers.
Dave Van Eck has not had his name printed properly once on this stream, but he will win the GT3 AM category for Vorti Racing. Sven Elmers will come home in seconds ahead of Siar van Rooyen, and I will continue to mispronounce that name until the end of time. Paolo Antonori will come in fourth for Absolute Motorsport A-Slith, ahead of Ted Jan Bloemen, and Liam de Kock will bring it home in sixth for Vorti as well. Matteo Lemeray for Draken Racing Team will bring it home in seventh, ahead of Stefan Anjanima. Jose Villarejo will come home in ninth for Go Esports, ahead of Oliver Parkinson. Disconnects through the field towards the back end. Senna Bukoven and Dave Van Veen, both for Vorti Racing, over 10 laps down apiece. Chris Van Stralen, the first retiree of the race, 26 laps down. Clad Racing certainly hoping for better next time out, which I believe will be at Suzuka.
Yeah, and I believe that's next week as well, unless I'm wrong. Don't believe there's anybody to correct me, in all fairness. Andy would be right on me. Yes, we are back next week for Suzuka. I'll just run you through the calendar quickly, actually. So we're back next week for Suzuka, then we've got a break week, then we're going to go to Zandvoort, and then we've got another break week, because that week is the Road Atlanta 10-hour Petit Le Mans special event. Then we're going to go a triple header from Watkins to Hockenheim to Fuji, which is our timeline wet race. And then there's a break week for the Fuji 8-hour. Then we're going to go to Indy Road, which we've not done before in the IMSA series. Oh, no, sorry, we have done it before. And I believe it was in season 4. So a long, long time ago. And then we're going to go to Daytona for the season finale. That's on the 28th of November. So a long way away now, but it'll come at us pretty fast. Yeah, and the big twist for that Daytona race is we're going to have a 90-minute race. So we saw the pit strategies play out today. It's going to be a little bit different there. So it's going to be really interesting to watch how the drivers handle that 90-minute race. And obviously it's a big stint in the car, 90 minutes.
and I'm still trying to convince Race Control to let it run on the oval, but I don't think I'm going to be winning that argument.
It would be fun to see, fun to watch.
It would be fun for the first, and I think we'd all figure out what's going on fairly quickly.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. That was a great race. Just before we go, Simon, what's your moment of the race, do you think?
You keep doing this to me. I keep having to think about it on the fly, and I keep getting surprised every single time.
I think for me, it would have. I think the overtake from Daniel Morphy on Ignis was the moment of the race. We were watching GT3's all race get closer and closer and closer up the Kemmel Straight and unable to get past, and that was pretty impressive to see somebody finally pull it off for a podium spot as well.
That's true. My favourite moment, I believe it was... Oh, I closed the timeline now, so I can't even look at the names. Gutierrez just getting stuck between all of the GT3s and just hoping for a way through Eau Rouge, because I just like having shots with lots of cars on screen at once. I'm a simple man.
Yeah. Yeah, watching the traffic here is always very interesting. All right, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.